Welcome to the channel. Depending on how much Newcastle United bid for Scott McTominay in the transfer window will depend on whether he stays at the club or not. So let's dig into this a little bit. Will he be going to Newcastle United like it's been rumoured? We could be in for a bit of a roller coaster of a transfer window because Ten Hag is planning a massive overhaul of the squad this summer. And there was a lot of fan favourites apparently on the chopping block. That's following a humiliating defeat at Sevilla last night. I mean, Ten Hag's stance on certain players has hardened. And because of last night's game, we could see as many as 15 players moved on during the summer window. Can you believe that? I mean, I personally don't believe we'll move 15 players on at all. As for Scott McTominay, his future is under threat, but the club and Ten Hag apparently are not actively looking to sell the midfielder. I mean, apparently Ten Hag sees him as a good squad option, but McTominay is reportedly considering his options, and he's considering his options because if United buy another midfielder in his position, it was reported a couple of weeks ago that he'd bypassed Ten Hag, gone higher up the chain at United and said, if you buy another midfielder in my position, I'll put a transfer request in. So if that's true, he's willing to push for a move. And as I mentioned earlier, Newcastle are rumoured to be showing an interest in signing him. And the word has it, that McTominay is intrigued by a prospect of moving to the north of England. And while Ten Hag isn't pushing for a move, if Newcastle do come in with a big money offer, say 30, 40 million for McTominay, that might be too good to pass up. Because you have to remember that McTominay is an academy graduate at United, so there's considerably more profit from transfer fees for that, which could help United stay within the financial fair play limits, the FFP limits. But being real, McTominay isn't the only one facing an uncertain future. So another player who's got an uncertain future at United is Jadon Sancho. Now, I spoke a couple of weeks ago about how I think his issues are down to personal confidence issues. But I mean, I suppose Ten Hag, he's in a results-driven business. And if Jadon Sancho isn't delivering on the pitch, how many chances can he give him? I mean, ultimately, it's all this is going to come down to the fact how much money Ten Hag has to spend in a transfer window and whether he can replace at left wing or not. So ultimately, he may not have a choice but to give Jadon Sancho more of a chance next season. Moving on, Anthony Martial. I mean, you saw him last night. He come off the pitch injured again. Right now, as I sit here, I don't know what that injury is, whether it's just muscular, whether he can come back pretty quickly. I've not read anything or seen anything in the press about Anthony Martial today. So if I've missed something, let me know in the comments below. As for Harry Maguire, I mean, the name alone tells his career's over at United, has to be over at United. But just a week ago, there was talk that Ten Hag wouldn't force him out of the club. And there was also mentioned that Harry Maguire had said that he was happy to play the bits part role that he's playing because he's still getting games. And he thinks he could improve under Erik Ten Hag. Personally, he's an absolute liability. We saw what happened last night. And whilst I don't blame Maguire for United losing 3-0, he was the catalyst. He got that, for lack of a better terminology, he got the ball rolling, set the nerves on fire, which ultimately possibly caused United to have such a terrible performance. Victor Lindelof, as I've mentioned again in previous videos, he didn't have his greatest game last night, but I don't think any United player did last night. And In the past I've said he's United's number 3 centre back, and I still think he is. I mean, I think any centre back of any quality is going to struggle in a side with Harry Maguire in it, and obviously last night. I mean, David De Gea didn't. Excuse me. David De Gea didn't have his best game. So Harry Maguire last night and De Gea combined to have a calamitous for that first goal. It was a calamity. As for Fred, well, I think he fell out of favour recently with Ten Hag. Up until last night, he'd not started the previous 6 games. So what can I say about Fred? I think he should have come on earlier. Ten Hag should have brought him on earlier if he wanted his pace and his tenacity to affect the game. It was far too late to bring him on at that time. I mean, the previous substitutions are Shaw down the left, so Shaw left back and Rashford at left wing had no impact on the game. It was the midfield where we were struggling. We've been struggling all game. That's why Sevilla could get on top of Maguire and cause problems. So yeah, the midfield was the issue, and the fact that Fred is on a list of players that are going to be sold, I can only speak to the fact that he's not the best footballer in the side, but he does offer us something. Again, this all comes down to whether Ten Hag has a budget to replace these players, which honestly, I don't think he will. He won't have a budget to replace a lot of these players. Sell Harry Maguire on, definitely. Anthony Martial, if you're going to buy a striker anyway, move him on. I'd say keep Sancho for another season. Let's hope we can get something out of him. Keep Victor Lindelof. Again, he's kind of. This is all based on the lack of funds to replace. So sell Maguire, sell Martial, keep Sancho, keep Lindelof. Fred is keep Fred. I mean, ultimately, I don't think he's ever going to be a regular first team starter, but he does offer something, and that's what you want. That's what you want. You need players. Ten Hag needs players that can come on and affect a game. You can't judge Fred on his late involvement in last night's game. That's my opinion anyway. I mean, if you have different opinions, let me know in the comments below. So Ten Hag's looking to sell players to generate funds, and hopefully gets those funds to reinvest in the squad. So basically, his aim is to raise the baseline standard of the players and the mentality at the club. So that there's going to be a summer clear out. There's going to be a lot more players than obviously I've mentioned. If it's 15, so who are the 15? Who do you think the 15 players may be? I mean, obviously, going to be a lot of youth players that have come through the academy, are sitting probably in the reserves right now and can't get on the first team bench. There are players that aren't having their contracts renewed, so they're going to go anyway on a free. So let me know what you think. Who do you think United should sell? Why should they sell them? And do you think Ten Hag will get the money? Or do you think the Glazers will pocket that? So share your thoughts in the comments below. Please smash a like on the video. And if you don't subscribe, please subscribe and help the channel. Thank you for watching.